All right, diving right in tonight. Two big Europa League games and a couple Premier League teams involved.
Yep, some interesting stuff to break down, for sure.
We're looking at Manchester United and Tottenham, right? Both got wins last night.
They did, but very different, roads to get there.
Exactly. So we really want to take a look at what happened in those games.
Absolutely.
What it tells us about both teams going forward in Europe. What their strengths and weaknesses are.
Yep.
And ultimately, do they have what it takes to win the whole thing? The Europa League trophy. I mean, that's the big question, right?
Big question, yeah. And I think the results last night were interesting because, you see the scores.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, one team had a pretty easy time. One team maybe not so much.
For sure. All right, well, let's start with Manchester United.
Okay.
They beat Real Sociedad 4-1. Pretty convincing, right? You look at that score and you think, okay, no problems.
Yeah, definitely looks like a comfortable win from the outside.
But if you actually watch the game, I don't know if you felt this, but there were some moments, especially early on, where it felt like
Oh, yeah.
it could go a different way.
I think for United fans especially. Anytime you see the other team score first and it's a penalty, you kind of get that.
Oh, no.
Here we go again, feeling right. Because there have been some defensive issues.
This season, yeah, in Real Sociedad, they came out strong. And you're right, that Oyarzabal penalty, it just gave them that early belief.
Yeah, momentum shifted and United had to kind of, reset a little bit.
They did, and then...
But thankfully, they have Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah. He's
2 penalties, he just ice in his veins.
I know, so calm, it's like he doesn't even feel the pressure.
It's incredible, right? And then he gets that third goal, too.
A hat trick.
And Delaw with the fourth, put the game away. And, it really did feel like Bruno, he just took control at a certain point.
He did. He willed that win to happen.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And his passing was great, too, not just the goals, but he was creating chances for others all night.
Yeah, he was everywhere.
Right.
And it's tough to talk about this game without mentioning the red card, right? Aaron Buru for Real Sociedad in the second half.
Big moment. Yeah, definitely changed the game.
United were already on top at that point, but, going down to 10 men, it just made it that much harder for Sociedad to...
It's tough, yeah, to come back from that in any game, but especially in Europe.
Right, and you could see their manager, Amorim, he was pretty subdued after the match.
Yeah, he said something like, it was a good performance, the physicality was there.
Which, kind of felt like he was saying, we're doing okay
until the red card.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's shift gears completely now and talk about Tottenham.
Yeah.
They got a 3-1 win over AZ Alkmaar.
Did.
But it was a battle, man.
Definitely not a straightforward win, yeah.
It wasn't. And, this seems to be a bit of a theme with Tottenham. They like to make things interesting. They like to give us all a little bit of...
They do like to keep it close, don't they?
Yeah, keep it close, keep us on the edge of our seats. Even though they were down from that first leg...
They were.
You just get the sense that they're going to make it hard on themselves.
It's funny, right? You almost expect them to start slow.
I know. It's part of their DNA at this point.
But then you get moments like Wilson Odobert's goal.
He was electric, wasn't he?
He was. He really injected some energy into the game.
That first goal was all him winning the ball high up the pitch. Great finish.
Tenacious, determined, and then the composure to slot it home. Impressive for a young player.
And then Madison, talk about a creative spark. His goal was just...
pure class, right. The vision, the technique, fantastic goal.
And at that point, 2-0 up, you're thinking, okay, maybe they've got this. Maybe they're going to cruise.
You'd hope so, yeah.
But then, almost immediately, a defensive error gift-wrapped a goal for Alkmaar.
It was so frustrating, wasn't it? Right after that substitution, too, Van de Ven comes on.
And they just switched off for a second. Coop Miners punishes them.
And suddenly the whole mood changes, right? You could feel the tension in the stadium.
Yeah, it was like 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
It really highlights that defensive vulnerability that Tottenham have, even when they're playing well.
It's always lurking, right? That potential for a mistake at the back.
Always. And against better teams, that can be fatal.
Thankfully for Tottenham, though, Odobert was there to save the day again.
He was the hero, 2 goals in a big game like that.
That second goal, what a play by Solanke, too, with the back heel flick.
Brilliant assist, yeah. And Odobert with the instinct to be in the right place at the right time.
And I loved Postecoglou's reaction after the game. Just very simple.
What did he say?
We've progressed, which is the main thing.
Classic Postecoglou, straight to the point.
I know. You can tell he was relieved, though. You could see it in his face.
I bet, yeah. A lot of stress in that game.
For sure. Okay, so... big picture here. Let's talk about tactics a bit. What are we seeing from these two teams? Manchester United, They're at their best when they're pressing high, attacking with pace, and Bruno's obviously the key to that. But defensively, there are still some question marks.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. They can overwhelm teams when they get going, but can they stay solid at the back when they come up against really top opposition? That's the question.
And Tottenham, offensively, they look so dangerous. Madison, Solanke, now Odobert.
They've got so many weapons going forward, it's really exciting to watch.
But again, defensively, it feels like they're always one mistake away from disaster.
It's a bit of a tightrope act, isn't it? They need to find more consistency at the back if they want to go deep in this competition.
Exactly right. So let's step back even further, talk about the bigger picture. What does the Europa League really mean for these two teams? For Manchester United, they haven't won it since 2017.
A while now, yeah.
It feels like a big opportunity for them, not just for the trophy itself, but, with the Premier League being so tight this year, it might be their best chance to get back into the Champions League.
It's a huge incentive for them, absolutely.
And for Tottenham, it's all about ending that trophy drought.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
It has, and, they have the talent to do it, but can they handle the pressure as the tournament goes on? The knockout stages are a different beast.
That's what we need to see. Can they stay focused? Can they eliminate those mistakes? Because the pressure only gets higher from here.
For sure. And speaking of pressure, the quarterfinals, both teams have tough matchups. Manchester United have Lyon.
They're a good side, very dangerous going forward.
They are. And Tottenham have Eintracht Frankfurt. They always seem to be a tough out in Europe.
They do. They've got that experience and that never-say-die attitude.
It's going to be a challenge for both teams, for sure.
The road to the final is never easy.
So to sum it all up, we saw some exciting football last night, some goals, some drama.
We did a lot to unpack.
Manchester United showed their attacking quality, Tottenham too, but both teams have some defensive issues to address.
Absolutely, and the quarterfinals are going to be a big test.
So that brings us to our final thought for you tonight. Considering everything we've discussed, which of these two teams do you think has the best chance to actually win the Europa League? And what's the biggest hurdle each of them needs to overcome? Think about what we saw last night, how they performed, how they reacted to different situations. What do you think?
It's a tough question, but a good one. And I think the answers might surprise some people.
Well, that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
To spark the debate, to get people thinking, and to hopefully see some more great football along the way.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, we'll be back next week to break down all the action from the quarterfinals. Until then, thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.
See you next week.